Hey, and welcome to another CS0 Intro to Java video. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate drawing arcs and filling arcs. There's not going to be a lot new in this video. I'm focusing just on the arc this time because the arc is a little bit funny. It's not like drawing rectangles or ovals or lines, which are very straightforward and very simple. This has a couple other arguments in the parameter, which can be kind of confusing to new programmers. So let's run this and see what it looks like. What we have here is going to be an application in JFrame with a series of arcs drawn and arcs filled. Okay? Draw arc does this above, fill arc does this below. Now let's see how these work. This application is just like any other application we've done. It's a JFrame. In the main menu, we're doing in the main method, we're doing all the main method stuff. So instantiating, setting size, default close operation, set visible, nothing new there. And then we've got the paint method. Super paint is called right here. Now we've got our calls to draw arc. I'm going to look at these calls in just a second. I'm going to do a new one down below everything here. G dot fill arc, and up above it I'm going to set the color. Color, and I'm going to do something that's very different. I'm going to do color blue, so it's really going to contrast the pink. Now for the arc, we've got 6 arguments to think about. We've got our x, y, and our height width. I'm going to start with the x, y. I'm going to put my x at 50, my y at 50. Those are my first 2 arguments. The next 2 arguments are going to be the size of the containing box for the arc. You want to think of the arc as being inscribed inside of a box, kind of like how when you make an oval, the origin for the oval is not on the edge of the oval. It's not tangent to the oval at all. It is, if you drew an imaginary box where all 4 sides were tangent to the oval and the 4 sides of that box were parallel with the edges of the frame, that corner, upper left-hand corner of that imaginary box would be where the origin is. Well, an arc works very similarly. So we're going to set it at 50 and 50. Then I'm going to set the arc to be 200 wide by 200 high. Okay? Now we've got our other 2 arguments. I'm going to set this one to, let's see, I'm going to go -90, and then I'm going to go 180. And we'll see what that does, and then we'll explain what those last 2 arguments are. Okay, so you can see that it is going to be starting right here, and it goes 180 degrees. Okay, so these 2 arguments are the start of the angle and the sweep of the angle, or how far the angle goes. I'm going to change this to be, instead of 180, I'm going to change it to 90 and see how that affects it. So this is our arc sweep here, or our arc length. Okay, so now it's a little bit less. It did go up to the top, now it only goes up to here. Our starting point is right there. Okay, that's going to be our arc start, and this is our arc length here. So our arc start was at -90, which is right here. Our arc length is 90, which takes us to here. Now, I'm going to change this -90 to 0 and see where 0 is. All right, 0 is right here, okay? 3 o'clock on the clock would be 0, and our arc is going in this direction, okay? So it's going 90 degrees in this direction. Let's change this 90 to 270. See what happens. Okay, so you can see our 0 didn't change. This is still our starting point. But now our arc length goes all the way around 270 degrees until it gets down here. All right? So those are our two last arguments. That's the arc start and the arc length, or what I like to call the arc sweep, how far the arc goes. All right. Now, how does it know how tall and wide it is, and how does it know where the origin is? Now let's look at this one. It's 270 degrees, okay? Since it's 270 degrees, it's 3/4 of a circle. We can tell how high it is, and we can tell how wide it is. Now we can also get a good sense of where the origin is. So the origin was 1550 and right about here. I'm going to move it down a little bit. I'm going to put the y on that at 150. And keep the x at 50. Okay, so now this is 150 pixels down. The y is going to be essentially the top of this circle. It's going to be right over here. It can be really difficult to try and place where the arc is going to go. Let's say I wanted to make a smiley face, okay? And I wanted to start with my arc at 0, and I wanted to go -180 because I wanted it to be a smile on the smiley face. Well, now the bottom is going to be at 150 plus 200. That's where the bottom is. But the top, the actual y origin, is somewhere up here. So this is where the actual origin is, right where my cursor is. The origin is nowhere on this arc itself, so it can be kind of hard to figure out where to place these things. That's the trickiest part of dealing with arcs. Okay? What I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to take a look at the code that exists. And we've got these 6 arguments on each of these arcs. And I want you to try and figure out which ones are which. Okay, take a look at each of these, figure out which arc in the frame corresponds with which call. And then what I'd like you to try and do is give a mirror of them. So if this one was 0 and 180, if I wanted to mirror it, I'd have to go 0 and -180. I'm going to run it and see if it did what I wanted it to do. All right, so it was vertical. It was arcing upward that first time. Now it's arcing downward, so I got the opposite of it. I'd like you to go to each of these arcs and give me the reverse. All right, so that's a little bit about drawing arcs. This is a short video and kind of a sweet video, and I hope it demystifies those 6 arguments in the drawing of the arc and how you can get things to be arranged the way they're supposed to be arranged. Thanks for watching.